Section 7. That the Secretary of the Interior may, in his discretion, when repayments to the United States of all money advanced, with interest reimbursable hereunder, shall have been made, transfer the title to said canal and appurtenant structures, except the Laguna Dam and the main canal and appurtenant structures down to and including siphon drop to the districts or other agencies of the United States having a beneficial interest therein in proportion to their respective capital investments, under such form of organization as may be acceptable to him. The said districts or other agencies shall have the privilege at any time of utilizing by contract or otherwise such power possibilities as may exist upon said canal, in proportion to their respective contributions or obligations toward the capital cost of said canal and appurtenant structures from and including the diversion works to the point where each respective power plant may be located. The net proceeds from any power development on said canal shall be paid into the fund and credited to said districts or other agencies on their said contracts, in proportion to their rights to develop power, until the districts or other agencies using said canal shall have paid thereby and under any contract or otherwise an amount of money equivalent to the operation and maintenance expense and cost of construction thereof. Section 8. A. The United States, its permittees, licensees, and contractees, and all users and appropriators of water stored, diverted, carried, and/or distributed by the reservoir, canals, and other works herein authorized, shall observe and be subject to and controlled by said Colorado River Compact in the construction, management, and operation of said reservoir, canals, and other works, and the storage, diversion, delivery, and use of water for the generation of power, irrigation, and other purposes, anything in this act to the contrary notwithstanding, and all permits, licenses, and contracts shall so provide. B. Also the United States, in constructing, managing, and operating the dam, reservoir, canals, and other works herein authorized, including the appropriation, delivery, and use of water for the generation of power, irrigation, or other uses, and all users of water thus delivered, and all users and appropriators of water stored by said reservoir and/or carried by said canal, including all permittees and licensees of the United States or any of its agencies, shall observe and be subject to and controlled, anything to the contrary herein notwithstanding, by the terms of such compact, if any, between the states of Arizona, California, and Nevada, or any two thereof, for the equitable division of the benefits, including power, arising from the use of water accruing to said states, subsidiary to and consistent with said Colorado River Compact, which may be negotiated and approved by said states, and to which Congress shall give its consent and approval on, or before January 1, 1929. And the terms of any such compact concluded between said states, and approved and consented to by Congress after said date, provided that, in the latter case, such compact shall be subject to all contracts, if any, made by the Secretary of the Interior under Section 5 hereof prior to the date of such approval and consent by Congress. Section 9. All lands of the United States found by the Secretary of the Interior to be practicable of irrigation and reclamation by the irrigation works authorized herein shall be withdrawn from public entry. Thereafter, at the direction of the Secretary of the Interior, such lands shall be open for entry, in tracts varying in size, but not exceeding 160 acres, as may be determined by the Secretary of the Interior, in accordance with the provisions of the reclamation law, and any such entryman shall pay an equitable share in accordance with the benefits received, as determined by the said Secretary, of the construction cost of said canal and appurtenant structures. Said payments to be made in such installments and at such times as may be specified by the Secretary of the Interior, in accordance with the provisions of the said reclamation law, and shall constitute revenue from said project and be covered into the fund herein provided for, provided that all persons who served in the United States Army, Navy, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard during World War II, the war with Germany, the war with Spain, or in the suppression of the insurrection in the Philippines, and who have been honorably separated or discharged therefrom or placed in the regular Army or Naval Reserve, shall have the exclusive preference right, for a period of 3 months, to enter said lands, subject, however, to the provisions of subsection C of Section 4 of the Act of December 5, 1924, 43 Statute 672, 702, 43 United States Code, Section 433, and also, so far as practicable, preference shall be given to said persons in all construction work authorized by this chapter, provided further, that the above exclusive preference rights shall apply to veteran settlers on lands watered from the Gila Canal in Arizona the same as to veteran settlers on lands watered from the All-American Canal in California, provided further, that in the event such entry shall be relinquished at any time prior to actual residence upon the land by the entryman for not less than 1 year, land so relinquished shall not be subject to entry for a period of 60 days after the filing and notation of the relinquishment in the local land office, and after the expiration of said 60-day period such lands shall be open to entry, subject to the preference in this section provided. Section 10. That nothing in this act shall be construed as modifying in any manner the existing contract, dated October 23, 1918, between the United States and the Imperial Irrigation District, providing for a connection with Laguna Dam, but the Secretary of the Interior is authorized to enter into contract or contracts with the said district or other districts, persons, or agencies for the construction, in accordance with this act, of said canal and appurtenant structures, and also for the operation and maintenance thereof, with the consent of the other users. Section 11. That the Secretary of the Interior is hereby authorized to make such studies, surveys, investigations, and do such engineering as may be necessary to determine the lands in the state of Arizona that should be embraced within the boundaries of a reclamation project heretofore commonly known, and hereafter to be known as the Parker-Gila Valley Reclamation Project, and to recommend the most practicable and feasible method of irrigating lands within said project, or units thereof, and the cost of the same, and the appropriation of such sums of money as may be necessary for the aforesaid purposes from time to time is hereby authorized. The Secretary shall report to Congress as soon as practicable, and not later than December 10, 1931, his findings, conclusions, and recommendations regarding such project. Section 12. Political subdivision or political subdivisions, as used in this act, shall be understood to include any state, irrigation, or other district, municipality, or other governmental organization. Reclamation law as used in this act shall be understood to mean that certain act of the Congress of the United States approved June 17, 1902, entitled an act appropriating the receipts from the sale and disposal of public land in certain states and territories to the construction of irrigation works for the reclamation of arid lands, and the acts amendatory thereof and supplemental thereto. Maintenance as used herein shall be deemed to include in each instance provision for keeping the works in good operating condition. The Federal Water Power Act, as used in this act, shall be understood to mean that certain act of Congress of the United States approved June 10, 1920, entitled an act to create a Federal Power Commission, to provide for the improvement of navigation, the development of water power, the use of the public lands in relation thereto, and to repeal Section 18 of the River and Harbor Appropriation Act, approved August 8, 1917, and for other purposes, and the acts amendatory thereof and supplemental thereto. Domestic whenever employed in this act shall include water uses defined as domestic in said Colorado River Compact. Section 13. A. The Colorado River Compact signed at Santa Fe, New Mexico, November 24, 1922, pursuant to Act of Congress approved August 19, 1921, entitled an act to permit a compact or agreement between the states of Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming respecting the disposition and apportionment of the waters of the Colorado River, and for other purposes, is hereby approved by the Congress of the United States, and the provisions of the first paragraph of Article 2 of the said Colorado River Compact, making said compact binding and obligatory when it shall have been approved by the legislature of each of the signatory states, are hereby waived, and this approval shall become effective when the state of California, and at least 5 of the other states mentioned, shall have approved, or may hereafter approve said compact as aforesaid, and shall consent to such waiver as herein provided.